All right, talking about my drum template today. So this is what I drag in to pretty much every project, no matter what the genre is. This is just like my stock setup. So I pretty much got everything that I might need here. Hopefully I don't need anything else because it's pretty deep. Got kick, MIDI track, snare, MIDI track, drum loop, audio track, hat loop, audio track. I drag in a lot of the same drum loops and hat loops that are just samples from Splice or other shit I recorded or whatever. Trap hats, MIDI track, live hats, MIDI track, live cymbals, MIDI track, and then drum sends, which we will get into later. So let's just start with kick. So basically, if we're looking down here, we've got all these layers, right? Kick 2, trans, effects, dirty, live, and F9. And then all of their respective gains. Let's put a MIDI track in here so I can demonstrate how this works. But we got kick 2, first note, transients, second note, effects, third note, dirty, fourth note, fifth, sixth, and so on. And the purpose of this is that I can layer stuff very easily with the gains because all of this stuff is parallel. So I can just like turn my kick 2 down, turn my trans down, and so on. So kick 2, we're just focusing on this guy right here. This is a kick synthesizer plugin that allows me to change the pitch envelope and the amp envelope and add sample top layers, which I'm doing in this plugin and I'm doing outside of the plugin in Ableton if I want to. But I love this plugin because I spent years and years and years trying to find the perfect sample kick that I could just use as the base for every kick of any genre. And that doesn't exist, I've come to find out. But this is pretty fucking close because the sub is purely synthesized out of this thing. So you can change it in any key. I can stretch, I can do whatever I want because it's just a sine oscillator essentially. By default, I've got this little layer right here, this dusty kick. My sample, if I recall correctly, Fire Producer. But yeah, this is what kick 2 sounds like by default. That's my stock every single genre, every time I'm starting with that. So then if I flip through these, that's my trans, effects, dirty, live, F9. F9 is like a house thing. Live's like a rock kick thing. Dirty's super clipped. Effects, weird. I don't know. Transient's just like a top. If I want a different top, back to kick 2. So these knobs right here, we just discussed. Gain is down here for all of them. But these knobs up here, kick 2 basically turns this utility on and off right here that's just on my kick 2 channel. So that if I've got a bunch of other layers, I can easily just flip the phase of kick 2 if something sounds weird, right? Because when you layer low end stuff, drums, phase is important to pay attention to. So I can flip the phase right there. Super simple. Don't need to do that very much, but it is right there. Trans. So basically the rest of these are going to follow the same formula. This knob is flipping through a bunch of samples, and I will open this rack really quick. We're on trans right here, layers deep. But basically when I flip through this knob, it is going through these chains of different sounds, right? So let's move that note up to our kick transients thing. We can get rid of that. Let's just loop this note right here a bunch of times so we can hear that. So let's start at the bottom or at 0. Endlessly flipping through samples, tons of them on each one. And like I said, our trans is just a top kick thing. So it's just like the attack of a kick, you know, if I think the kick needs something or just cooking up and I find something special, kick 2 plus that, fire. So these all work the exact same way, right? Effects, same thing. Let's move our note up to effects. Weird. On and on and on. Let's try our dirty. Bunch of decap kicks, I think. Sick producer too. Let's hear those. Live. Most of these kicks are from Easy Drummer, my go-to rock kit if I'm not doing real drums over here. So all these kicks, for the most part, the ones that I usually use, are just sampled out of that. So let's make this long. We're gonna hit legato. Yeah, let's flip through these. Sick. F9. It's kind of a new thing I added since I've been messing around making house music. I guess they're what house music kicks are supposed to sound like. They sound good to me though. We get that. I've got basically 6 options with a ton of options underneath those 6 options for each category, right? Kick 2, trans, effects, dirty, live, F9. Cool. That's my kick rack. I'll touch on this too. I've got a couple other random samples that I used to use before I found Kick 2 and kind of developed this whole method of being able to layer whatever kick I want out of all of these options right here. These Medicine kicks, right? Medicine, he's this GOAT producer. These are just straight samples that I keep in here in case I want to just try one of those if all of these other options aren't working. Those were my go-to for a very long time, so I keep those in there as well. That's cool. Let's try flip the phase. Ooh, I think flipping the phase on the Kick 2 works better with this. Not going to go deeper because I could spend all day trying out weird new combinations, which I often do when I'm making songs, but let's just rock with that. So basically, we've got a cool little layer combo right here, and they're all getting just summed down to the one channel after our rack right here where my mouse is. And then it's just a linear chain straight through the end. This goes for all the rest of my drums in my template here, but they all have a transient designer, which this is a lovely little macro setup that you guys should know by now is my favorite. And they're just controlling this SBL Transient Designer Plus. And I only care about the attack and the sustain knobs on this. So that's why I've only got 2 knobs here. Blast attack, clicky as fuck, make it shorter. That's fire. That sounds pretty good. Transient Designer. Let's leave that as it is. And then this guy, I never open this because this is controlling this thing, my SSL UF8 and UC1. So let's just open this plugin so you guys can understand what I'm talking about. SSL channel strip. I am just doing what the plugin is doing, but on the hardware. So it's not a hardware EQ compressor, it's just the plugin controller, but it's really sick because it's one less plugin I have to ever open because I can just EQ, filter, compress. I've got gain control over here, right? If I turn this fader up and down, that's the whole kick track right there. And then a whole bunch of other controls right here. Like I can send to my send, so I can hit 1, send some to the room. Let's hear that. Whoa, let's try Hall, right? We're not gonna do that on drums, that's crazy. Delay, chorus. That sounds kind of cool actually, but whatever, you get the point. Got full control of all my sends, all my faders, and all my SSL EQs right here. Never have to look at the screen if I don't want to. After the SSL controller interface, what have you, if I hit Kick 1, Ableton pops open my Kick 2 plugin, which I often have to adjust the length or maybe the pitch envelope and do stuff in here because that is the sub sine oscillator that's at the base of every single kick. And I got my Pro Q4. We know what this does. EQ can do anything and EQ would ever want to do. And then we got my Spectre saturator multi-band sick ass plugin. So those are all on every one of these, and that goes for pretty much any track in an entire mix. I've got these 3 things: the SSL, Pro Q4, and Spectre. Those are just like my standard mixing plugins for anything, every single track in an entire mix. Then we got a utility. This little controller right here, this knob is basically controlling the utility on all of them. The reason I like to have control of all my utilities at once is, say I got a bunch of effects they're gonna go on, but I want everything to hard cut. That's what this is for. I can literally automate this to kill that utility on every one of these tracks. Pretty cool. I'm using it also on this drum sends group. Get into that in a second, but let's go back to our kick track. After the utility, we're using audio sends. This is another Max for Live device. Basically, this is just recreating sends and returns, but I get to send them wherever I want. So I've got these 8 parallel drum tracks that are in my group called Drum Sends, and each one of these channels is feeding these 8 parallel tracks. So got Devil-Lock on this. Let's hear that. It's fire. It's my favorite. We know we love Devil-Lock, and we see why I play it. We're getting signal right here on our Devil-Lock. They're all set to no input on the audio, but they're on monitoring in. That sounds right. And then each one of these is just routed to the parallel track that I want it to go to. Another sick thing, let's go back to my Stream Deck plugin. So all of these buttons pull up the plugins on my parallel track. Let's go back to our Devil-Lock, send some of the Devil-Lock. Rarely need to adjust this, but if I needed to, pop that Devil-Lock. Oh, we want this on fast release, always. But you get the idea. I can adjust whatever I need to on my parallel Devil-Lock drum thing. And just to be clear, so we're getting like equal copies of all Devil-Lock and all dry. It's full parallel, right? Half Devil-Lock, half dry. Next one's Distressor. Let's do that. Oh my. Pop that button open, pull up in my Distressor, maybe a little bit of that, kill some low end on the compressor circuit, maybe some distortion. Shit, sounds cool. A little more ratio. Works for me. Thanks, Distressor. Then we got the 1176. Let's give it a little more crank. Knocky, I like that. And let's pull our attack down a little bit. Let a little bit more in. And remember, 1176, backwards attack and release. So this way is slow attack, this way is fast. Same with release. So we got a slowish attack, fastest release, which is what we want for drums. Nice. 1176. Next one, DBX 160 into the Pultec. This is a classic. We're compressing and then we're EQing. So slamming the shit out of this. Oh yeah, she ripping. 20 dBs enough. And then let's add some low end back. Let's put it at 60. So now we got a super compressed, super subby parallel track on our kick. DBX into the Pultec. Oh, this is a crazy one. This one's called Transformer 1, courtesy of Jason Joshua. I only have the button opening up the one plugin. This is the only one I would really change. And I've kind of modified this a little bit from exactly how he had it, but a decapitator, these exact settings. So we're distorting, and then we've got a SSL bus compressor doing exactly 8 dB of gain reduction per Jason Joshua's instructions. And then we've got the Saturn, which is the only thing I would ever change while I'm messing around, because maybe I want to try some different stuff on here. Whatever, heavy saturation, that's cool. Let's crank it. Ooh wee. So that's just destroying it. But the important part is that we are cutting out everything below about 2K. So it's just the top. So we're just adding a compressed, distorted upper transient to our drums. On all of these, we've got another SSL channel strip, which again, never need to open because it's right here. And they show up all on their own faders. So once I send from my kick, usually it's full blast, to any one of these, I can control the level of our parallel tracks on these faders. Let's just do it. We got our transformer up all the way up. Sometimes I want to batch control the volume of all of my parallel drum stuff. Pretty sick. Are you looking for exclusive production, guitar, and drum loops made by yours truly right here in my studio? Hours of live stream content on how I make my music, remix stems, vocal chains, and even personal feedback on your music. Then head on over to my Patreon. That's patreon.com/HarryWasHere. What else we got? The old rap pedal. Use this in my vocal template too. Why not on drums? Oh my goodness, that's ridiculous. Just destroyed. So in addition to be able to control the volume of all of these faders, these return tracks, I've got full EQ control too. A little bit too much low end in that. Let's throw a low cut filter on it. Let's throw a high cut filter on it too, why not? I could compress this too. You know why? I couldn't tell you, but I could do it. Pretty sick. Let's go back to our kick. Let's turn our rat send off. And we got delay / effects. I switch these out from time to time, but basically I got a chorus on here. We know what that does. Not as noticeable on a kick. A delay, definitely hear delay. Let's change this to note. Ball delay, the best delay. Our last one, drum room. Sound City Studios from UAD. Literally, this plugin is made for exactly this, and it's the best one. I'll flip this to reverb, actually. Can you cue that? Take some low end out. Let's mess with this. Built-in compressor. Slam. Let's add a little SSL compressor after that. Chillin'. All right, so that's my kick. All right, snare. We've got Atlas. Oh, this one's cool. Let's talk about Atlas. So basically, this sort of like puts all of these similar sounds together, and these are all just like snares out of my entire 100 gig sample library, right? If I can get weird with that, find some super specific shit, all I do is drag that piece right here, and there it is, just like that. So now we're on my live snare rack. Works just like my live kick rack. I just flip through, let's legato that so it's long. All the live snares I could ever want. Travis Barker, Easy Drummer, there's more, I forget. Trap snare, that's my favorite. Trap clap, fun. And then just like my kick, got some other favorite snare samples that I just use a lot. These are all from Oliver. Snare rack, drum loop. This is just an audio track. Often I like to start songs with a loop. I'll show you the loop. It is in this one. So I'll just treat this like I would usually go in here. Command A to select the whole thing. Command U, see what that quantizing sounds like. And let's see how it sounds. Well, it's not even close to the right tempos. Sounds great. I would flip this warp mode to beats, change this to my first little one arrow. And then I control the envelope, how long my hits are. So let's keep it short. And then I got my thermal rack right here. This is a special thermal rack just for drums. And it's rocking this preset in here called Overhead Slam. Never need to open it because I got my macros mix. It's usually all I need to mess with, but I got width and crush right here. Usually just playing with that and then playing with this. Maybe I want to flip this back to both. Warping sounds kind of weird sometimes. Maybe I'll just delete all of them. It's fucked it all up, so. But same exact deal. Got a transient designer. I can make it snappy as fuck, make it long as fuck. Love doing that. Brings out the room like crazy. You just blast the sustain. Super cool, right? And then my SSL channel, I can start EQing this, adding more compression if I want to. Pro Q4, Spectre, you know what it is. And then all my sends right here. So I can, let's throw some Devil Lock, Thermal, cranking the sustain on the transient designer. It sounds ridiculous, but I can do whatever really fast. I did all that on the hat loop. Same exact thing goes for the drum loop. Chop hats, they're chop hats. Put a little pattern in here. Real simple. Do one of these. Command 1, increase the grid. Command E, cut it up. Little roll here. Trap hats, baby. They do a thing. And then I got my chain selector right here. And then a bunch of other knobs that I rarely use, but if I want to take attack off the hat, got it right here. Attack, decay, release. Volume of the chain. Turn it up and down. Pan random. So now they're going left and right. Ableton exclusive. Filter these if I want to. SSL channel, Pro Q4, Spectre, Trans Designer, Utility, and our drum sends. Got 87 trap hat samples in here too. So live hats. Hats, but they're live. So a closed hat thing. So basically I got all these hits from 2 different plugins. Easy Drummer, this guy, on the Pop Punk Expansion Busy preset. Love it. Half of them are from that. And then I got this guy, Contact, Get Good Drums, Modern and Massive, on the In Your Face preset. Easy Drummer, Easy Drummer, Easy Drummer, Easy Drummer. Contact, 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 contact. These sound sick. And whenever I'm doing like a whole fake rock drum sound, the kit sounds like a real kit and I can trash the fuck out of it because I've got all of the things that I want to make shit sound ridiculous. And I don't have to stay in one plugin, even though these plugins are clearly designed to be like, oh, you got kick, snare, da 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 da. Like, that's not enough. What if I want more? I got way more than I will ever need. So just like the rest, Transient Designer, SSL channel strip, Pro Q4, Spectre, Utility, and my drum sends. Last thing in our little drum template lecture today, the drum bus. So all the stuff that I've just talked about is all going through this same processing. First thing in this, like I said, this is our utility gain control. So that just turns everything off if I want it to. And we got Saturn. Usually I just leave it on warm tape, turn this up, just gives stuff like gluey, punchy, how do I say, similarity. Because if everything is slapping through the same distortion box, they all kind of like mess with each other in a way that sounds like they're supposed to be together. Saturn for the win. And we got Orion. Well, we got 2 on this button. Come here, bitch. Jason Joshua drum bus plugin. His crazy chain, all these wild plugins. And I used to do that the way he did it. But then he came out with this plugin which had all this stuff in it. And I know what all is in it. And I always liked it. It was just like a hassle to have like 10 plugins to do like his one thing. But now we got Orion. Turn this on, it's the drive, mess with these, pick something, just sounds cool. That is probably the main thing that I'm getting out of this, is this drive box right here. Sometimes I'll throw a little compression on it. I don't mess with the harmonics that often. It just does a little bit too much low end for me. Lift is nice though, got like some clean high end on that. And then I love this grit slider. Parallel distortion thing, that's super cool. And then the loud, same thing. Those are the main ones. And we got Knock, Decap. This is the newest addition to my drum template. This thing will just destroy your shit so fast in the best way. Clip, air, top end, like it on clean usually. If I use that at all, don't really touch the sub because usually I got more sub than I need and I need to chill with it a little bit. Saturate's super cool. We got these 3 flavors, saturate and then punch. But this thing just like, it's a really quick way to get a really aggressive, intense sound. Love Knock. And then we got another compressor. Come here. SSL G-Bus from SSL. It's right here on my controller. Also, never need to open this. Close that. Got all my stuff. Threshold, makeup, attack, release, ratio, mix, sidechain filter, in, out. I keep it out by default. So I'll just try that on and see if I want to mess with the attack. See if I even like it because I got like a bunch of other compressors obviously to choose from here. And we got our clipper, big clipper. Pretty much only doing one thing with this, just pulling this down, seeing how much clipping I want. This is near the end of the chain. So all of this stuff that's adding all this transients and all this density to the sound, we're clipping it. We're going to chop it off with this guy. And I pretty much always have it set to full clip because this is limiter to clipper and this is hard clip to soft clip. And I pretty much just always rock full clip and full hard clip and then just do it to taste. If I want to, I can basically adjust the frequency dependent threshold. If the low end is just slapping it like crazy hard, I can turn that down and I can change the cutoff points, but honestly, it's deeper than I typically need to go. Big clipper. Last thing, Pro Q4. And this is just here, you know, maybe I want to come over here and take off like a low 25, something like that. We don't need all that super low shit below 30. Rarely am I going to do a high cut on drums, but I will for sure be doing one of these. Options, scroll down, soothe, baby. I can tame the harshness of my drums. I can clean them up. Got one of these at the end of every single chain, so I can just macro mix everything together with just Pro Q4s. So I'm not trying to pay so much attention to the individual tracks once I'm at that point. Am I forgetting anything? Nah, that's my drum template. Works for every single song, forever.